houses were all too far away to tell one from another. He gave up quickly, too sore and sticky to stand there any longer. He went into the dormitory with its 2 rows of beds, all made up, but with some rather differing standards of impeccability. His eyes were drawn instantly to the bed at the far end of the row that faced away from the door. Noah Clarke's was always the neatest. But he did not find the usual perfectly smoothed blanket on the bed at the end, because Clarke was sitting on it with his back against the wall and his knees drawn up, sketching in one of his leather journals. David froze, still clutching the door handle, as Clarke's cat-like grey eyes wandered over to him. One of them had a small bruise blossoming beneath it. "What are you doing in?" David asked, his voice sticking a bit. "Staying out of the way. If a schoolmaster misses me, I suppose they can drag me by the ear, but for now..." He gave a sly smile and put a hushing finger to his lips. David nodded. After all that had happened today, he wanted to say something, acknowledge it somehow. The wanting of it was desperate and almost sickening, but he couldn't think of anything. He just went to his own trunk, which was at the foot of his bed, the one next to Clarke's. He bent down to open it as best he could, trying not to wince. Clarke set aside his drawing things. "You all right, Forester?" A different voice might have grated David's nerves at a time like this, but Clarke's was always quiet and gentle. It still cracked occasionally, but did not seem destined to settle as low as David's had. He liked it. "They shouldn't have punished you," Clarke went on. "Or if they were going to, they should have punished Snyder too. Though perhaps they thought you had handled him well enough." David stood up and threw the clothes onto his bed. He started unbuttoning his jacket. "Was it broke?" "Was what broke?" "Snyder's nose." A huge smile broke out across Clarke's face. "I reckon so." Good. So far as David could tell, poor Noah Clarke never bothered anyone. Why on earth David had noticed this was unclear. They ran in completely different circles. Or rather, David had a circle to run in, while Clarke spent most of his time alone. Still, David kept little tabs on the quirky boy who slept in the bed beside him. He did his schoolwork on time and drew swirling things in his journals. He took a lot of solitary walks around the duck pond, kept his bed obsessively neat, and generally minded his own business. He got on well with the teachers, but much less so with the other boys, who acted like he'd chosen his slight build and delicate features for the sole purpose of bothering them. David hoped that Robbie Snyder's nose healed very crooked. If he could not handle a little prettiness, then he was better off ugly. Shirt off, he washed up at one of the stands in the corner, scrubbing dried sweat from his face and dried blood from his knuckles. He could feel Clarke watching him, and it made his heart pound madly. Why would he watch? Were the marks on his back too horrible to look away from? But when he turned, he didn't find horror on Clarke's face. There was an unexpected sadness instead. Clarke tensing his own shoulders like he was imagining what David had gone through. "You really got it, didn't you?" David shrugged and went to put on fresh clothes. As he changed from trousers to the jodhpurs he'd need in the yard, he tried to position himself so that Clarke wouldn't see the worst of what he'd got. It probably showed on his face, though. There didn't seem to be an inch of him left unmarred, even linen scraped and burned. Clarke rested his chin on his knees. "Thank you." The grateful hint of a smile on his lips proved hard to look at for long. David concentrated on the buttons of a fresh cotton shirt instead. "It was no trouble at all," he said. An almost cackling laugh burst out of Clarke. "No trouble?" David shrugged. "I get worse at home." "Do you really?" He had meant it as a joke, but Clarke looked shocked. Uncomfortable now, David shrugged again. It was true, but he suddenly felt defensive about it. "Don't you?" "No."